Hey, what's up, guys? All right. Ooh, get my. There we go. Welcome, everybody. How's it going? Hope you guys are having a good Thursday. I'm Johnathan Wyatt. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so you can manifest your ideal life. And today, we're going to be doing Q&A as usual. But before I get into that, there's a few things I want to cover. I want to talk about assimilating and digesting energies, right? I think this is a very relevant thing right now. All types of energies, right? Obviously, sexual energy. If you want to cultivate sexual energy, if you're a man, you want to build a strong sexual charge, you have to be able to assimilate and digest this energy that you build up. But on a bigger scale, there's some massive transformational energies slamming the planet right now. You know, a lot of people. Drop my phone here. A lot of people feel like they're going crazy. There's so much transformation happening. I can tell you things are seriously shifting around in my life. So we're being bombarded with this heightened levels of energy on the planet, basically heightened levels of light, which is causing us basically to be forced to transform. It's bringing out our own shadows. It's bringing out our own karma. It's showing us, what we've been hiding, patterns that are no longer serving us. And this is happening worldwide on a massive scale. No one can escape this massive transformation that's happening worldwide. And of course, people try to, numb themselves by taking drugs, by sitting in front of the TV all day, but you really can't hide from this. So it's like, okay, you can make the choice right now. I'm going to transform myself. I'm going to ride these waves and become, my highest potential, or you can get your ass kicked by all these, crazy energies hitting the planet. And again, the key to really getting through this period with grace is to be able to assimilate and digest these energies, to stay grounded. And that's number one, right? So how do we do this? This is where having a daily practice really comes in. You want to be working with the energy channels of your body every day. You want to open these channels up, circulate chi throughout your body. And then you can, so Crystal's asking how to ride the wave. So that's what I'm talking about here is having some sort of daily practice. So when you work with the energy channels of your body, you keep things flowing because you have to upgrade your circuitry, so to speak, right? Because what's happening is we're getting a massive upgrade in the energy that's moving through our bodies. So if you have this old electrical system that can't handle 100 volts of electricity, it's only wired for 50 volts, you're going to have some issues. So for me, the most powerful tools have been Qigong, working with Qi, simple movement type practice that directly works with Qi. Qigong and Tai Chi, meditation, getting out of your head, getting into your body, silencing the mind, and just allowing yourself to absorb energy, digest it. Breath works great. Yoga, spending time in nature, getting your feet on the earth and absorbing that energy of the planet helps you to ground and adjust and tune into the planet, because the planet itself is changing. The Schumann resonance is peaking. It's spiking to incredible levels. If you're not in tune with that, then you're going to be out of harmony. So when you can get your feet on the earth, connect to the earth's energy, ground it, you're going to be able to assimilate these energies, digest them much easier. And of course, this integrates with working the sexual energy as well, because, I talk about semen retention a lot. As a man builds a sexual charge, he must be able to assimilate and digest and ground these energies, or else he's just going to, feel very unbalanced, we could say. So building up sexual energy, but at the same time, you're doing these internal practices to circulate through the body, open up the channels, and refine the energy. So again, it really comes down to having a daily practice. If you're spending every day distracting yourself, you're staring at your phone all day, you're watching TV all day, you're taking drugs, you're drinking every day, you're trying to numb yourself, right? And you're going to get a bit overwhelmed with these energies that build up inside of you. So take 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes at least, right? And put your feet on the earth. Take some deep breaths. Do some meditation. Do some Qigong. Move the Qi throughout your body. Open up your channels. And you will be able to really navigate through these times with grace, because it's like what's happening is that you can think of our energy bodies like a net, and we're constantly picking up stuff from the world around us, from other people's beliefs, other people's thoughts, and things like that. And when you pick up all this stuff in your field, it starts to kind of bog you down. It slows you down. You have all these beliefs that aren't yours, all of these emotions that aren't yours. You're absorbing all this stuff. And for most people, this is completely unconscious. They just live their whole life basically carrying like all this garbage on their back that they picked up from other people. So having a practice to clear this stuff out, which pretty much everything I was talking about, working with Qigong, opening energy channels of the body. You take in the fresh energy, that's bombarding the planet, circulate it through the body, release the old, and you'll stay clear. And that's really the key to living right now on this planet and thriving, not just making it, but thriving, living every day, in your purpose, feeling bliss, feeling joy, feeling balance, and, being a high vibe being. So kind of what I feel like sharing today, guys. So feel free to send your questions. I'm going to get into the Q&A, but I wanted to announce something. I'm going to be speaking and teaching at an event in Sedona, Arizona, it's the weekend of July 23rd, I believe. I think it's called Family Gathering of Light or something in Sedona. I'll be posting more details about that, but really, really excited about this. Some of my favorite people are going to be presenting at this event. So I'm super, super stoked. Some of my family in Sedona is going to be there. So check that out. It's going to be really, really awesome. It'll be a good excuse to go to Sedona if you've never been there. Absolutely amazing energy there. So, all right. I'm going to answer some questions now. I see there's some questions coming in. Oop. My phone's sliding all over the place today. Gas station boner pills. I would stay away from that stuff. A lot of them are like herbal ingredient based, but sometimes they add some weird stuff in there as well. So, I mean, look at the ingredients. If it's not just completely based on herbs, I wouldn't put it in your body. There's some sketchy stuff out there. Do your qigong, do your sexual kung fu practice. You don't need, pills. Sebastian B says, Johnathan, I want to thank you for the tantric masturbation technique I've been able to retain for 5 months up until now without releasing. I never felt so alive, energetic, and liberated in years. Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed that practice and it helped you to make a sustainable path of retaining your semen and enjoying it, right? It's fantastic. Imagine Wolf says, hey man, I've been doing Qigong and meditation daily, semen retention, and with a lot of energy. Feel the chi flowing, so I'm guessing that the sexual energy is being transmuted. I'm just getting started. Likely, if you feel good. So I guess the question here is really like, how do we know if you're actually transmuting your sexual energy? Do you have more creativity? Instead of typically what happens as you build up sexual energy is it just makes you much more horny, much more driven by your sex drive, right? And it's not a bad thing to feel horny and have a sex drive, but when it's like overwhelming, then you just have all this buildup in your genitals and nowhere else in your body. So you're transmuting it because you start to become more creative. You don't feel driven by sex necessarily, right? Not to say you don't have sexual desire or sex drive, but it's not driving all of your thoughts and actions. So if you're transforming that into creative energy, you feel like your heart's expanding, you feel more creative, you feel more tuned into the world, you feel more expanded on your spiritual path, and it's a good sign that you are transmuting your sexual energy. Robert asks, do you have examples of how to do the Qigong? I have guided Qigong videos on my YouTube channel. I have a whole playlist of Qigong practices. So go on there, start with the more recent videos. They're the most updated. Pick a video or two, follow that every day, and just notice what changes in your life, right? This is the most important thing. Not so much like what you notice when you're practicing. It may seem a bit boring in the beginning, but with time, it becomes much more interesting because you start to really feel the chi. But you'll notice throughout the rest of your day, you feel more calm, you feel more centered, you feel less reactive, you have more energy, more balance, more clarity, more grounded, right? And so, yeah, basically pick a couple of my Qigong videos, follow, maybe alternate off and on, but basically do it every day and just see what happens. Okay, there's a question from Instagram. Do you take sea moss? If so, have you seen benefits? I have taken sea moss. I have a blend. It's like, I think it's sea moss, bladder wreck, and something else. I can't remember. But yeah, sea moss is amazing. It has, I think, like pretty much all the essential minerals that your body needs. It's a superfood. So definitely recommend sea moss. Hey, Jace, what's up, brother? Cosmic Origins. Yeah, he's hosting the event in July. I'm super stoked to be there. So much love, brother. Yeah, follow Jace Cosmic Origins. He has some awesome information, kind of disclosure, a lot of crypto stuff. Okay, Mahesh is asking, I need more practices as well as food remedies for premature ejaculation. So first of all, get my free ejaculation control course. There's a link in, I think there's a link in this description of this video. I have a link in pretty much all my YouTube videos to this. There's a link in my Instagram bio, my free ejaculation control course. This will be basic techniques to start controlling your sexual energy. First of all, that's the most important thing, right? I have a whole playlist on premature ejaculation, but basically it's about being able to control your mind and your body, calm down your nervous system. That's the biggest thing. The biggest cause of premature ejaculation is overstimulation, overstressed. You're stuck in that sympathetic fight or flight state, which triggers ejaculation. So first of all, being able to calm and relax your mind and body is one of the most important factors of premature ejaculation. Okay, not sure if I'm saying your name. Mirka asks, how many times a week is it healthy to practice tantric masturbation? I would say give yourself at least like a day off in between sessions, at least in the beginning, to kind of adjust to, the increase of energy it's going to produce in your body, so you can kind of adapt to that. So yeah, 3 or 4 times a week is pretty solid. And you want to set aside at least like 20 minutes or more to really set a space to relax into that practice. So yeah, I have a video on tantric masturbation, which is basically how to use a sexual practice, even a solo sexual practice, to generate energy and store it in the body instead of releasing it, right? Thomas Lau says, thoughts on melatonin supplement. I personally don't like taking melatonin. I've tried it a few times and it always makes me feel really, really like groggy in the morning. You have to be kind of careful with hormone supplements. It's a hormone. So personally, I don't like it. I don't take it. But if you take it and you feel balanced, it helps you sleep and you feel good in the morning, that's great. But again, for me, it just made me feel really foggy and groggy in the morning. Oh, and by the way, this event in Sedona that I'll be speaking in July, there's a link in my Instagram profile, or sorry, my story. I think I put a link in my story. You can swipe up to register for that. In-person tickets are going to be limited, but you can also live stream the event. I'll be posting more details about it. Okay, my necklace, I got this from Arcturus Raw, who lives in Sedona also. His channel, just look up Arcturus Raw on YouTube. You'll find his channel, and he has a link to, this is the Raw key. It's really powerful. Photonic generator. Grab a little protein smoothie here. All right. Caldemez says, Johnathan, what you have provided for me has changed my life. So inspiring. I've started practicing Qigong and feel the energy flow and bliss. Thanking you 1,000 times, hoping to get on the course. Awesome. Yeah, glad that you're seeing the results, because it's really about just doing the practice, right? It's like, we can talk about this stuff all day, but if you don't take action, if you don't have the daily practice, you're not doing it consistently, then you're not going to get anywhere, right? So when you make that decision, you take action, you do the work, you see the results. It's as simple as that. And it doesn't usually happen overnight, but when you stick with it, you practice every day, all of a sudden you build all this momentum and you feel great. That's what I love about the internal practices, right? Qigong meditation it's something you do for yourself. It's not like taking a pill, this instant gratification, getting something from the external world. It's something that you do for yourself, and you build that for yourself, and you always have it. No one can take that away from you, right? Okay, Ballisticor asks, is the Ankh a symbol of sexual transmutation? I've seen various references to what the Ankh actually is. There's different theories. Some say it is it's similar to the microcosmic orbit, like this channeling upwards and circulating in the body. But also, interesting thing about the Ankh, the shape of it, if you attach an Ankh, like a metal Ankh, to a tuning fork, so, a tuning fork, I think I have one here somewhere, maybe it's in the other one, but you hit a tuning fork, it vibrates for a certain period of time. If you attach an Ankh to that tuning fork, it will vibrate, I think, like 3 to 4 times longer. So the theory of the Ankh is it represents immortality, it represents sustaining of the vibration of life, right? And there's a lot of theory that this relates to sexual energy as well. There's a lot of esoteric sexual practices, basically sexual kung fu being taught in Kemet, right, ancient Egypt. Okay, the Faridian. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Yes, are you coming up with a more in-depth practices of sexual kung fu? Um, well, I have my 12-week course, Multi-Orgasmic Man, which is the most comprehensive, in-depth training that I offer, and I've been updating it right now as well, so there's all the new content on there. And of course, my own practice is always evolving. I'm always experimenting, having new breakthroughs, developing new techniques and things like that. So yeah, it's always evolving. MTL says, feeling so much urges recently. Well, these good urges or are they bad urges, right? An urge is an urge, but if it's something you don't want, then take that energy, that power of it, and channel it into something else. Okay, Vegeta. Sorry, I'm saying that wrong. He says, or Vegeta says, can I practice one of your qigong practices before going to bed to combat urges and wet dreams? We're all fighting urges, aren't we? Be careful about practicing right before going to bed. If you're going to do something right before bed, I recommend something more calming. Microcosmic orbit can be good for some people to be stimulating. Dantian breathing practice is actually a fantastic one because it really grounds you down in the lower center, the Dantian. I don't necessarily recommend like doing qigong right before bed. Personally, if I do qigong within like 2 or 3 hours of going to bed, I won't be able to sleep. But you kind of have to listen to your own body. Tyler B asks, how much water do I drink a day? I'm trying to drink a gallon of water a day. I have like this glass jug I fill up and then like I try to drink that whole thing by the end of the day. So hydration is important. Quality water too. You don't want to be drinking, fluoride and chlorine, calcify your pineal gland. Okay, Yusef says, your content is very helpful, but sometimes applying what you say isn't that easy. I understand. I know I drop a lot of information. I've made 300 YouTube videos, I think. But basically what I encourage you to do is start with 1 or 2 practices. That's the most important thing, is having the practice, having something that you're doing every day. And what I recommend starting with is Dantian breathing. It's on my YouTube channel. If you're going to do one thing, do that for 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, every day. And you'll see, pretty cool results. You'll start to feel your Dantian as this electrical, powered, hot, bubbling thing in your belly. So, you just start somewhere, start with 1 or 2 practices, build up from there. You'll be fine. Okay, Gilbert says, currently practicing semen retention, celibacy. I just got massive female attraction walking down the street. A woman stopped me in her car. All right, yeah, you do tend to be more magnetic when you're building your sexual energy, because there's this dynamic with men is that we often we're really like projecting ourselves onto other people, women especially, right? You're just kind of sending out and kind of imposing yourself on others. And that can be a very toxic feeling to other people, or kind of this sense of neediness, like, oh, this attractive person, I really need their energy, right? And it just kind of turns people off. So when you're no longer in that dynamic of, you're of one like, okay, I have self-love, I have self-restraint, I have respect for those around me, I'm coming from, maybe a higher place, coming from my heart, then it's a bit more of a enjoyable, attractive energy to people. And not to mention, when you practice retention, you build up your hormones, you increase your testosterone, your androsterone, and you build this magnetism, and people detect this. Bliss Decor says, I just got an orgonite and I have 0 urges. I am good. All right. If that works for you, that's perfect. Organite's a great tool. It's a great tool. It's not going to do everything for everyone, but Organite's a great tool for sure. With Fire says, how to arouse my sexual energy internally as opposed to externally. Well, you can use internal practices, like the testicle breathing practice. You're not exactly arousing your energy, but you're kind of activating it in a non-aroused way and circulating that throughout your body. So you're working with the sexual energy, but not in a sexual, way, so to speak, right? But you can also, I'm not exactly sure the context of this question, but it sounds like you're saying, how can you get aroused without like looking at porn and things like that? I think that's kind of the obvious uh, application here. And the thing is that when we've been conditioned with porn, you spend years looking at porn every day, it completely distorts your brain chemistry, your arousal response in your body, your ability to become aroused. It really, really messes you up, especially when you start in your teenage years, which most of us did, right? So just having a break from that is the most helpful kind of rewire, allowing the body to rewire, cutting out porn, cutting out, excessive dopamine releasing activities. And gaining sensitivity within your body to like touch, to sensation, using a bit of fantasy in your mind, I think is fine as long as you don't, rely on that completely. But, what I found was when I began my sexual Kung Fu practices, practicing Qigong, meditation, really opening up space in my body, it really redeveloped my sensitivity, and my ability to not require excessive external stimulation to activate my sexual energy. Okay, Matthew. Hey, what's up, brother? Matthew says, what are the most basic breath works and how do they work? Um, simple is just belly breathing, right? Place your hands on your belly. And you can count. You can count too. Like try to inhale and exhale the same period of time. This can be very balancing for your system, help you get into a parasympathetic state. So maybe you count to 7 as you inhale. Hold the breath for a few seconds, then you exhale, count to 7. Pause for a moment, then inhale again, count to 7. And that's super, super basic abdominal breathing. Another simple breath work I like, which is really calming, really stabilizing, is alternate nostril breathing. So you plug your right nostril, inhale through the left, hold the breath for a second, and then plug the left nostril, exhale out the right, and so on. You inhale and exhale out one nostril. This helps balance the hemispheres of your brain, helps to balance the left and right sides of the body. You can also work with the core channels in doing this practice. So as you inhale through the left nostril, feel like you're breathing down the left core channel of the body, which is basically this vertical line from the left, the left hemisphere of the brain, the left side of the body, breathing down all the way down to the base of the torso, exhale out that straight line. Same thing with the other side. So I don't know. I mean, there's tons of breathwork practices. I teach a lot in my course, but those are some simple ones. Because, you asked how they work. I mean, there's a variety of answers I could give. But basically, my take on breath is that the mind, the body, and the breath are completely interrelated. Your emotional state is reflected in your body, and it's also reflected in your breath. It's reflected in your body because when you feel angry, you get tensed up. Your breathing becomes more shallow. When you feel depressed, you take very shallow breaths, right? And just your structure collapses. So you can, if you're experiencing something you don't want to be experiencing, you're in a difficult emotional state or something like that, then you can work with the body and work with the breath, breathing deeper, balancing the breath, fuller breaths, equal inhale and exhale, or maybe a longer exhale if you want to relax more, a longer inhale if you want to stimulate more. So, you can really affect your nervous system and your brain state. If you want to get into, theta state, alpha theta state for meditation, working with the breath can really help you do this as well. But it's still actually quite superficial working with breath work in regards to some of the deeper internal energetic practices. But I think working with all these things together is a really, holistic approach. Okay, MTL says, talking about water, where do you buy your water or how to get or make it? I have a pretty high quality water filtration system and a water ionizer. It's a Kangen machine. These things are they're like $4,000, but I probably wouldn't have bought it personally, but someone gave it to me in exchange for teaching at a retreat I did a couple years ago. So I got a good hookup on that. So that's a fantastic product. But basically, high quality, either if you can get spring water, that's like the best to get water fresh from mountain spring if those are available in your area, but they're not available everywhere. So the best water filtration, I would say, that's kind of the most affordable for most people. Berkey water filters are great. They'll take everything out. Water distillers are great because it removes everything from the water. And people say, well, then it pulls minerals out of your body. If you remineralize distilled water, it's not going to pull your minerals out of your body. So you just put a little sprinkle of sea salt in there. It'll be great. So reverse osmosis, distilled water, Berkey water filters, these are important. Again, the water you drink is very, very important. Here in the US, our water is laced with neurotoxins, fluoride, chlorine. So yeah. Gilbert says meditation helps with blue boss. I think you mean blue balls and the aggression. Yeah, meditation's an essential tool for anyone living on the planet right now. I would say meditation is important, but especially for cultivating sexual energy, because you need some stillness. Otherwise, that energy, it always wants to move. You have all these sexual desires and things like that. So being able to still the gene, as they say in the Taoist practices, helps you to manage that sexual energy and keep it more balanced. Matthew says, how to cultivate self-love. I go for a solo holiday soon, and I'm worried that instead of being happy, I will try to chase people. Yeah, so self-love is something you must cultivate, right? And I think it's going to look like different things to different people. But for me, self-love looks like having a day in nature, just enjoying being by myself, having a conversation with myself, so to speak, kind of this internal dialogue, making myself a nice dinner, something like that. Just doing what you enjoy, basically, something that makes you feel good. For me, doing my qigong every day, doing my meditation every day is self-love, because I love to keep myself feeling healthy and high energy, right? So just appreciating yourself, having respect for yourself, saying, hey, you know what? I like myself. I think I'm a pretty cool person. And I'm cultivating myself to be a decent person, and I respect myself, right? So, hopefully that helps. Vibe Blender says, is there a faster way to take your energy up? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. You mean like drawing it upwards in the body, like, microcosmic orbit practice, or like big draw type practice, power lock? I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Okay, Matthew says, how to work with troubling emotions like sadness, anger, etc. For me, it's about being able to. So here's the thing with emotions. Emotions aren't inherently wrong. They're not inherently harmful. If someone stole $5,000 from you, you're going to be pissed off at them. You should be, because they took something that didn't belong to them, right? So it's healthy for you to feel anger in that, and that it drives you to take action to make things right. But it's when emotions become chronic that it becomes an issue, meaning that someone did something to you 2 weeks ago and you're still pissed off about it, so you're holding on to emotions. This becomes a contracted pattern in your body, becomes a blockage, right? So this is when emotions become a problem. It's when it's this recurring thing. Our emotions are always telling us something. If you're experiencing sadness, you're experiencing depression, it means something's wrong in your life, right? Maybe you hate your job, but you think you need it because, well, how else am I going to get money? Well, you need to think a bit bigger, right? So things like this, right? So your emotions, your body, your mind is always telling you things. So kind of looking deep into where these things are coming from, it's going to be the most holistic way of addressing it. Like, well, I'm depressed when I'm, come home from work. Well, maybe I should quit this job. But on a more practical level, dealing with, on an acute level, as emotions arise, how do you deal with them? For me, that's, what internal practices help with. I teach specific practices for kind of releasing negative emotions and heat from the body. Practice like the 6 healing sounds is fantastic. The inner smile, where you just kind of dissolve and accept all parts of your being, release tensions from the body. When I'm really dealing with something difficult, I find it helpful to just get out of the city, spend a day in nature, spend an afternoon in the mountains, on the river, doing meditation, doing some qigong, doing some breath work, just breathing, just walking, being in nature, and just allowing things to move through your body. That's the thing, is like, Emotions, if you can keep them moving, if you can keep things moving, it'll eventually reach completion. But it's when they get stuck and contracted that it becomes an issue. So I know that was a lot of talk, but hopefully that helps you. Basically, you need a way to reach completion with these things and move them out of your body so that the pattern's resolved. Bliss Decor says, you think some females want to steal your energy? I mean, here's the thing. It's not like it's the females or it's the males. There's some people who are humans who, somewhere in their development, they were conditioned to believe that to kind of nourish themselves energetically, they must kind of latch on to others and kind of, pull some energy from them. So it's not like it's a male female thing. It's just a universal, I don't know, universal being, pattern that can exist, kind of this, slight parasitic thing where we feed on other people's stuff, right? So there's a certain percentage of people that are like this, right? And it's not necessarily their fault. It's what they maybe were conditioned from their parents to do or someone else to do, right? So having just a bit of more of an expanded awareness instead of just like, oh, females want us to take my energy, because, it's not true. Not every woman would be like that. Not every man would be like that. So, not being so general with things, having a greater understanding about this. So having said that, yes, some people do want to steal your energy. They might not even be aware that they're doing this, but having strong energetic boundaries, having your intuition developed to where you see where these people you're interacting with are coming from. Like, oh, this person, like after I hang out with them, I feel a bit drained. I feel a bit depressed. I feel like something's kind of, there's a cord attached to my body. I feel this weird sensation in my body. It's like they're pulling things from me. So this is why I recommend developing your skill in internal energy training, because this is one of the greatest applications is clearing, weird stuff people are sending at you, keeping your energy body clear and balanced, having strong boundaries basically, and which answers Mirsha's question, how to protect our energy. So strengthen your energetic boundaries by having internal energy practices and staying grounded, staying connected to the earth, connected up to the heavens, the cosmos, become a vertical beam of, channeling divine energy really. And that will help you to clear things, not pull things on as, they come at you. MBTI personality system. I'm not familiar with this, so I can't answer that. Okay. Do cold showers have side effects? Sometimes I noticed it makes me too tense. It makes me tense when I'm on a longer streak. So cold showers, there's benefits to cold showers that can improve your circulation, improve your hormones and things like that, reduce cortisol. But for me, I stopped doing cold showers in the morning because, I noticed they make me tense as well. And they actually affect my energetic cultivation practices in a negative way. If I have a cold shower and then do Qigong, I can't feel the energy as easily because, cold puts the body into a contraction. So I stopped doing that in the morning and it helps my practice. So, no single thing's best for everyone. You just have to kind of listen to your body. Say, I like taking cold showers and ice baths in the summer when it's hot, in the spring, whatever, but I no longer do it in the winter now personally, because, too much cold can be harmful for your energetic cultivation, I'm finding. Okay, Conscious Corey says, can someone go from being quite lazy and always being lazy to someone with a strong work ethic? Yes, I did this. I used to be a very lazy person. I used to sit on my couch playing video games, smoking weed, when I wasn't working, whatever. And it's a choice. Laziness is a choice. Here's the thing. What you get good at, what you practice, you get better at, right? So if you practice playing video games, if you practice sitting on the couch, you practice watching Netflix all day, you'll get pretty good at it. You'll develop these neural connections in your brain and this reward behavior to where, okay, if I do that, it becomes an easy pathway for you to do basically, right? So it simply becomes a matter of taking action, having discipline, saying, you know what, I'm going to do something different today. I'm going to go to the gym and work out, or I'm going to study. I'm going to, research something interesting. I'm going to learn a new skill. I'm going to play a musical instrument. You start to make a decision and you start to do it, even if it's just 5-10 minutes a day. You start to do that every day. And before you know it, you develop some willpower. And now you're developing that in other areas of your life as well. This what happened to me. I got into, I would say my first discipline was playing guitar. I used to practice guitar every day. I would sit, turn on my metronome, practice scales, for 30 minutes or an hour a day. That was, my first discipline. I started that in high school, and I started to get pretty good at guitar by doing that. And then I got into qigong. I was like, wow, if I practice this every day, I actually start to feel pretty good. I start to feel the energy building and things like that. So yeah, basically it's just a matter of taking action. Anyone can, do this. My life path number. No, I don't know if that's like a numerology, like official thing or whatever, but I don't know what my exact life path number is. There's some numbers I vibe with though. Grab a little protein drink here. All right. Bliss Decor says, can copper water be beneficial? I'm not exactly what you mean by copper water, like water that you put a bit of copper in or you're drinking out of a copper cup. Yeah, copper is a beneficial mineral to the body, but too much can be harmful. So I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. Okay, Persian muscle. How to quit fapping, how to smoke weed. Okay, so if you have a habit in your life you want to get rid of, my kind of philosophy on this is like, instead of fighting the old habit, be like, I have to stop this. I can't do that. I can't do this. That's a contractive pattern. I have to stop this. It becomes a contraction. You're using force. You're trying to hold something back. Eventually it's going to, come back and get you right. Instead of that, I encourage you to start putting your energy into something new in your life, a new kind of a pattern shift, something new that will benefit you, right? This is what happened for me. I used to smoke weed every day. I used to, jerk off to porn every day. Um, I started practicing qigong meditation, and so I was just doing something new, and that developed so much sensitivity in my mind and my body. As I started to develop my chi, started to become very sensitive to what was happening in my mind and my body, that I was like, wow, when I smoke weed, I actually feel kind of depressed the next day. It really throws me off. I have, the lack of clarity. When I jerk off to porn, I kind of feel like shit, and I have these weird porn images glued in my mind for days. So, and at that point I was like, well, I guess I won't do this anymore. Like, it wasn't like I had to force myself to stop. I just was like, oh, this doesn't feel good anymore, because I was doing something new that was energizing my body, developing my sensitivity, and it was getting me high in a much more sustainable and beneficial way than, taking drugs or looking at porn was. So, that's kind of my take on this. Basically, you want an action plan for yourself. Okay, you want to stop this? Well, create something new for yourself to put your energy into instead, that gives you kind of that natural high that you're seeking. Okay, Will Lane asked, do you get a certain amount of sun every day? Yeah, I definitely try to. It's not always sunny here where I live, especially this time of year. But when the sun's out, I get as much sun as I can. I'm moving to a new place which has a nice private yard, so I can get some full body sun, which is, it's the way to go. But yeah, I try to get at least, 30 minutes or an hour of sun a day if I can, full body sun. Natalie says, what is around your neck? This is the Ra key, R-A key, Key. Arcturus Ra makes these. You can check him out on YouTube. He's a cool guy. MTL says, any thoughts to open an online group meditation session in the near future? Possibly. I have a bunch of things. I have my course group, the guys who go through Multi-Orgasmic Man. We get together for calls and we do some practices every couple weeks with that. So we'll see if I'm going to expand things more, but I have a lot I'm working with already. Okay. Okay, Nagio the Scorpio asks, is watching yourself back doing it count as watching porn? I'm not exactly sure. Are you saying like if you film yourself having sex and then watch that, does that count as porn? I mean, interesting question. I guess it's different from like clicking on video after video, all these random people that you're kind of bonding your sexual energy to. So, I don't know. Use your own discernment on that. Okay, Natural Solutions asks, do I believe in horoscopes and all that? So like astrology, I've never been like super into astrology. I definitely believe that, obviously there's a lot of truth to it. We are affected by, celestial energies, planetary energies as we're born, and it kind of shapes part of our energetic constitution. But um, I'm not the type of person that's like, oh, well, we're in a Mercury retrograde, so my life's going to be fucked right now. I don't really give my power to that stuff. Like, I'm more of the like, we all have free will. We all have free will, right? That's the biggest thing. It's, you can always find excuses and find things, and astrology can help you gain insight into like certain factors that may affect you more than other people. But overall, in the end, we all have free will. We all have the power to cultivate whatever destiny we want. Colloidal gold. I take monoatomic gold, and honestly, I haven't noticed anything like mind blowing from it. But the thing is like, I have such a in-depth daily practice, and I have a very healthy lifestyle. So it's difficult for me to say what's doing what to me, right? Okay, whale. Not sure how to say your last name. Sorry, Daney. Whale Daney. I'm probably butchering that. Asks when masturbating, I reach the point of no return. Then I stop it with my perineum muscles, and I feel heat in my anus. What are your thoughts on this regarding energy? Is it a lost or is it advanced way? Usually, okay. This is the common method that most people use, where it's like during sex, during masturbation, you hit the point of no return, the point at which the ejaculation, process is going to start, and then you squeeze the perineum muscles to force the fluid to not move. Usually, you'll experience what's called a retrograde ejaculation, where so you have this orgasm, and it seems to be dry because nothing comes out. But what actually happens is your ejaculate moves into the bladder, and then you urinate it out. You'll know that this is happening because you'll lose your erection. You'll have the same refractory phase, and you'll also, when you go to pee, there's a bunch of like foamy semen in it, right? So that's how you know you're having a retrograde ejaculation. So it's just the same as ejaculating. There's really no point in doing this. And it could also be the kind of the holding back method, where you stop right before you hit the point of no return, or right as you hit the point of no return, you stop stimulation, you squeeze, and you have, a genital dry orgasm, where, you get the spasming, nothing comes out. It's not a retrograde ejaculation. This is fine. It's not really the method I prefer or use, but it's fine. So hopefully that makes sense. But this is what most people are teaching, and what I teach is a bit different. Okay, Chris Parker says, would you identify more as a tantric practitioner or Taoist? I would say I definitely lead more towards the Taoist side of things. I vibe a lot more with the Taoist philosophy, the Taoist practices. It's very practical, it's very grounded, and less with some of the tantric traditions. There's a lot of like, deities. You're like worshiping deities, and it gets a little weird, and some, it gets a bit dogmatic, I could say. Not to smash on anyone's belief system, whatever, but I've just never been on that thing of like, I'm down here, there's all these people up here that I have to go to in between me and source. I'd rather just go straight to source, right? Which is kind of the Taoist philosophies. The Taoists work with sort of natural deities, we could say, like sun and moon energies, the earth itself, right? So you're going straight into the life force. But yeah, overall, my training has been much more heavy on the Taoist side of things. But I've studied with many different traditions, so I kind of meld things together, and that's where my systems come from. But I don't identify as a Taoist. I don't really say I'm anything. I kind of have my own unique path I'm walking. Starluster says, how do you relax the throat? I think the rest of my body is pretty relaxed, but my throat is tense all the time, and I have trouble communicating. Are you speaking your truth? Are you living your truth? Are you lying? Right. So, this is kind of, the more philosophical or psychological, but yeah, throat is all about communication. It's all about creativity as well, right? If you're not in line with your truth, you're not speaking your truth, you're not living your truth, you're living your life kind of through someone else, it's going to block your throat. So on a, holistic day-to-day level, kind of look at that pattern. Say, am I speaking my truth? Am I living my truth? Am I trying to please others, or am I being authentic to myself, right? These will affect your throat. But on a practical level, how to work with this? Well, besides what I just said, just focus on relaxing your throat. Focus on this base of the throat area. And just when I'm working with like tension patterns in the body, what I do is I sit or I stand and just kind of absorb my mind into that area. So your mind has a very fluid quality. And the liquid of your mind, you absorb it into that area of your body like a sponge. It just absorbs and fills in that area. So you fill the throat with your mind and then just feel it. Just feel it. And it's like blockages often feel kind of like an ice cube or something. It's like this really dense area. So you just feel like you're wrapping the hands of your mind around this area and allow that to melt. Just kind of expand your awareness a little bit. Just feel like it's melting open. That's like, a technique you can work with blockages. So hope that helps you. Okay, Persian Muscle says, if you started fapping since you hit puberty, can you recover the damage? Yes, you can. I started masturbating. Actually, I started masturbating before I was about 13 years old when I started masturbating. So pretty much every day from 13 until like, I don't know, 22, 23 when I started getting conscious of this. So 10 years of jerking off every day, ejaculating every day. Ejaculating is the issue. It's not actually masturbation. It's not an issue. It's just if you ejaculate every time, right? Yeah, so that was a lot of Gene that, it really wrecked my hormone system. It took me a few years to recover, doing Qigong, taking herbs, all these things. But yeah, you can recover. Okay. Blalock. Why are you 10 times more horny after practicing semen retention for long periods? Any tips? Well, you're 10 times more horny because you have 10 times more sexual energy built up. So it's as simple as that. And to resolve this, you move the energy out of that genitals, turn it into something else. This is what sexual kung fu is all about is, okay, the first step, everyone loves the first step, which is just building the energy, practicing retention. But that's, if that's all you do, you're going to have issues, right? You're going to be excessively horny. You're going to be driven by your sex drive. So you want to move that huge charge that's stuck in your balls upwards in the body. So that's where working with the microcosmic orbit, this main energy channel in the body, comes in. Microcosmic orbit practice, testicle breathing practice, where you draw that sexual energy through the body, and also exchanging it with a partner through, tantric sex practices, not physically ejaculating. You can on occasion, but exchanging that sexual energy with a partner as well is going to move it, and you absorb their energy, they absorb yours. You have an exchange going. So basically move the sexual energy with internal energy practices. And this prevents you from being controlled by your sex drive. Seven Sins says, so when we do your ejaculation control practice, you're not supposed to use porn, right? Yes, I do not recommend using porn. I mean, just in general, I don't recommend, porn. It fucks with your brain pretty badly. But especially training for ejaculation control, it's overstimulating. It's not a realistic level of stimulation. You're staring at a screen. The blue light alone, causes weird, things to happen in your body. But the sexual stimulation of imagery, it overstimulates you, and it causes this false heat to develop in your body. It makes it very difficult to work with the sexual energy. So yeah, I do not recommend using porn. Okay, Matthew says, I find your clearing meditation really good. Have you got more of them? Love that you put working exercises on your channel, not just theory and talking. Yeah, well, yeah, that's my whole thing is like, I follow a lot of people, and there's so many people that it's just talk. It's just like, okay, this is the theory, this is the talk. But I'm like, well, how do you actually do this, right? Because if you don't have a method, you've got nothing, right? If you can't actually, talk does not cook the rice, right? So yeah, that's what I'm all about. I share a lot of theory, I talk a lot, but I also share a lot of practices. If you go back to my YouTube channel, I have, tons and tons of guided practices that are, amazing practices, right? So thanks for saying that. I appreciate that. So the clearing meditation, I do have, several clearing practices I use. Maybe I'll share some more, but what I've posted on my channel is enough. It's enough to work with. You don't need 10 techniques to do one thing. You just need one really good one, right? Okay, Sean, 1996 boy. Okay, saying I'm getting depressed because I'm following the course day by day, implementing the schedule step by step, but I still have to use all my willpower and energy to fight urges. I can never make it to week 3 because I always go insane with sexual thoughts, fantasies, and end up ejaculating to porn. How can I integrate your course to live the semen retention lifestyle, harmonious and sustainable way? So, first of all, you don't need to overcome this issue to go beyond week 3, right? It's unlikely that years and years of porn habits, of poor sexual habits and things like that are going to clear up overnight. The work in the course will greatly help accelerate this process. But here's the whole thing I was talking about earlier. Don't put all of your energy into fighting what you don't want to experience in your life. You'll be exhausted and you're experiencing that. You're fighting this, fighting these urges, fighting this. Instead, focus on doing the practice from the course. Just say, okay, I have these urges. Maybe I'm, masturbating here and there, whatever, but I'm at least working towards this new thing. And as you start to progress through the course, especially once you get to the sexual energy practices, that's when you really start to rewire your experience of sexual energy. And once you experience that new flow of sexual energy, when you're with the new flow of sexual energy in your body, you will start to lose interest in your old sexual habits. So basically, my advice to you is to stop trying to fight the old and just focus on the course. Focus on going through the course. If you jerk off to porn, don't worry about it. Just keep going with the practices. And with time, it's not like you failed. You're just, you're learning. All right. You're developing new pathways in your mind and body. Don't be so hard on yourself. Just go through it, do the work, follow the course, and you'll be fine. I also encourage you to share this in the course groups. It's best to direct these things there so that everyone in the group can learn from this. But yeah, wishing you the best. Freudian slip there. Wishing you the best. Enciende du Corazon says, where can I start to learn about the sexual energy? Well, all my posts on Instagram, I talk about it. On YouTube channel, I have many, many videos talking about sexual energy. So just, look at my other material and, I talk a lot about this. Matthew says, I like the moments when we talk about playing video games and smoking weed. Makes you no crystal Buddha, but a human with real mistakes and witnesses. Yeah, I mean, here's the whole thing. There's been so many times in my life where I, maybe like one of my teachers or someone I follow, I'm like, oh, they're perfect. They've never made they don't make any mistakes. They don't, they're just above everyone else. They're, kind of the whole guru trip, right? Like, oh, they're just perfect. They're the embodiment of heaven on earth. And then, you start to meet your teachers, meet these gurus, and you find out, wow, they're actually just as fucked up as everyone else, right? So here's the thing. We're all human. No one's perfect. We all have our vices. We all have our darkness within us. Don't try to bullshit yourself, just be real, right? And that's what I try to do. I'm not perfect. I've gone through many, many mistakes in my life, but, I do my best, right? If you ever have someone up on a pedestal, they will always fall off of it, I think is kind of the lesson I've learned. Okay, Derek says, the difference between the content in your multi-orgasmic man course and what's taught in your immortal energy course. Okay, these are two completely different things. Multi-orgasmic man course is focused on sexual energy overall and obviously becoming a multi-orgasmic man. And that implements a lot of Qigong and internal energy practices. Immortal Energy Arts is an online academy I have, which is purely geared towards internal energy cultivation practices. It's very, very, very in-depth. I mean, multi-orgasmic man is very in-depth as well, but Immortal Energy Arts is just straight energy cultivation. You want to feel powerful chi radiating in your body, then Immortal Energy Arts is for you, right? So in that I teach Qigong, meditation, Neigong, Tai Chi, Xingyi, just all these amazing methods for cultivating chi, right? So it's a completely different training than multi-orgasmic man. They're just completely different. So if you want to learn more about that, it's immortalenergyarts.com. Seven Sins, didn't mean to buy the Qigong practice. Send me an email. I'll set you up. Okay, MHB117 says, when I stop masturbating, I feel better and also require less sleep, but I feel frustrated. Why is that? Well, when you stop ejaculating, you build up your yang essence. You build up the yang charge, that masculine energy, which is it's an expansive, kind of a hot, fiery energy, right? So yeah, you're gonna have more energy, more of this expansiveness. So you'll need less sleep. But if it's kind of uh, not balanced, then you will feel frustrated. You will feel just kind of like all the time. So the key to resolving this is circulating the sexual energy, moving it through the microcosmic orbit helps to balance it, helps to refine it. Also doing grounding practices. That's why I don't just teach. A lot of people are just like, oh, just do semen retention. That's it. That's all you need to do. It's great. If you just do semen retention, there's a strong likelihood that after a certain period of time, you're going to run into these issues of excess yang, imbalanced, stagnant energy. So I teach semen retention only as a part of a system of training. And you don't even start with it. You start with clearing your energy field, clearing old patterns, clearing negative emotions, clearing heat from the body. That's important. And then building pathways so that you have somewhere to store and circulate the sexual energy. Because if you do semen retention without that, you can run into issues. So yeah, hopefully that gives you a good view of this. Rendell Frank says, what time in the morning, in your opinion, should you wake up and do the sexual kung fu exercises for the most benefits? I mean, whenever you can do the practices is great, right? But they say sunrise and sunset is the best time to do eternal practices. It's kind of there's kind of a magical energy at that time, and that's my favorite time to practice as well. But whenever you can is fine. Okay, Enciende du Corazon says, should I stop watching porn? Why is it bad? Well, watch my porn addiction videos on YouTube to get the whole kind of download on that. But basically, it completely messes with your brain chemistry. Your dopamine sensors in your brain, or your dopamine receptors, every time you watch porn, you're releasing high levels of dopamine. And when you watch video after video, you're getting hit after hit of dopamine. It starts to give you basically a reward for doing nothing but sitting there watching porn. It also completely messes with your arousal response in your body. You start to require that degree of stimulation to hold an erection, to become aroused, meaning that if you're not watching a new video, then you're not going to feel aroused. So when you're in a real life situation with someone, this becomes a real problem. So, there's a lot more to it as well, but that's kind of the basic, soundbite on that. Okay, 3 eyelids. The Qigong in your YouTube work just as good as in the course. Yeah, the Qigong videos on YouTube are great. I go a little more depth into Qigong and certain practices to really charge up in the courses I teach. But yeah, everything I teach on YouTube, my free material is solid as well. Cortez Coronado, thanks, brother. Okay, Shri Balaji, sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Practicing sexual transmutation with breathing techniques, but I'm still confused how to use breathing technique to bring the semen up to my brain. I'm trying hard to bring the energy to my brain, but nothing is happening. I don't feel anything. Okay, so first of all, you're not actually bringing semen to your brain. There's no physiological pathway in the body for semen to move from the testicles to the brain. What you're doing is moving the essence of that semen. Think of it as like you have a pot of water. That's your semen sitting in your balls. You start to steam that water. You turn up the heat and the water starts to steam. It's that steam's kind of the essence. It's a distillation. It's a changed form of that physical substance, right? That's what you're working with. So you're drawing this kind of essence, the steam of your semen, we could say, through the body. That's what you're working with, right? It's not the physical sperm that's moving in your body. You're extracting the jing qi, that essence of it, right? So that's the first thing to understand. And I'm assuming you're talking about the testicle breathing practice. Don't worry if you aren't feeling anything super tangible in the beginning. It takes time. This is actually fairly advanced energetic practice, but the more you work with it, and it's also important to understand this is not a visualization practice. If you're just kind of seeing it in your mind's eye with no body awareness, probably nothing's going to happen. So really engaging the mind within your body. Again, it's like your mind's like a fluid. It's like a liquid. You absorb your mind into the testicles, really feel them, absorb that, and then you move from there to move that energy through your body. But basically just keep practicing with it. Again, you're not going to have anything profound the first time you do it, but just notice, how do you feel the rest of the day? Do you feel more calm, more centered? Do you feel like you're less, driven by raw sexual desire? So just, notice these things. It's going to build over time. It's not like a one time, you do it once and everything's done, right? It's a daily practice you develop. Oh, just lost my Instagram feed. Let me pull it back up here. Man, how time flies when I'm doing this, guys. It's already been an hour. All right, where are we at? Okay. Nagio, the Scorpio says, can you give us some helpful manifesting advice? The most basic, it's being able, the more that you can tangibly feel what it is that you want to create in the moment, the more you can engage all of your senses. So let's say you're trying to manifest a sweet house, right? So feel the emotion. What if someone's like, oh, I have the sweet house, but I'm going to give it to you for free, right? Imagine how excited you would feel, right? Feel that level of excitement in your body, that level of like gratitude, like, oh, I'm so grateful for this. And feel your feet on the floor, feel your hands touching it, feel the smells of that house, right? So the more you can engage and make this a tangible thing, the more your body mind starts to communicate to the universe and draw this thing towards you, right? But you also have to be able to take action in your life. You'll feel inspired. You'll feel like, I just feel like I should talk to this person, or go to this place, right? So you have to start following your inspiration as well, follow your intuition, follow your heart, and this will start to, so it's like kind of the yin phase is the visualization, setting it up, and then the yang phase is taking action and making that happen. Matthew says, have you heard of naltrexone? It's a reverse drug. It makes you feel a little bit crappy, but then you are more driven and happy without it. So basically it's like a punishment. You're like taking something that makes you feel bad so that you feel better without it. That's very interesting. I can see how it would be like a self-punishment kind of thing, but that's a little weird. Okay. Sean 1996 boy says, do testosterone levels rise the longer you hold your semen, or do they return back to normal after a while? People say they peak for a period, then normalize again. What are your thoughts? Yeah, so this is an important question, an important topic as well, especially in semen retention. There's always this, there's a bit of obsessiveness and false healing in the semen retention community, I would say, where it's like, you have to retain your semen forever, or else you're a failure, you relapsed, you're a piece of shit, right? It just creates all kinds of neurological issues for yourself, psychological issues. That's what I'm looking for. So here's the thing. Semen retention, testosterone levels peak about a week in, and overall they stay high for about a month to 2 months, 3 months at the most. At this point, it starts to actually lower back to normal or even below normal, because it's almost like your endocrine system starts to atrophy. That's why I started doing cyclical semen retention, where I ejaculate during sex after about 4 to 6 weeks. That's my personal sweet spot. When I do that, I have the most energy, the most balance. I feel the best. I noticed when I went for really, really long periods, my sex drive actually decreased, my testosterone decreased. So it's not a situation of the longer you go, the better. It's a situation of being in balance, basically, right? Olaf Tryhard says, do you smoke weed once in a while? Well, speaking of not being perfect, yeah, I've had some weed on occasion. It's fun every now and then. Definitely not a regular thing for me, but I don't smoke it though. Smoke is horrible for your lungs. I've had, some edibles here and there, kind of, special occasion, hang with friends, whatever, but it's definitely not a part of my, normal life. Daily life, I should say. Whoa. Okay, Katie Fost says, Do you have a piece on why porn is bad for you? I've shared several posts on Instagram about this. I have a bunch of videos on YouTube, like porn addiction, as a whole. Also, the book Your Brain on Porn, very, very a lot of powerful evidence supporting porn is actually more addictive than almost any drug, and it's available to us free 24/7, and has very destructive effects on our concept of sexuality, our concept of relationships. For men, their ability to have erections. Rendell Frank says, with sexual kung fu, if you train your mind really well, would your body naturally follow, and vice versa in terms of development? Mind and body should always be trained equally, right? If you're only, I think the good example is kind of like some monks, right? There's monks who they sit and they meditate all day, so they're working really strongly in their mind, and their spirit, their spiritual path, but like their bodies become very, very weak. They start to have like leg issues from sitting, in lotus all day and things like that, back issues. So if you only cultivate your mind and your spirit but neglect the body, then you're kind of destroying the temple that houses that mind and body, right? Or that mind and spirit. Same thing. If you only focus on your body, which is kind of the norm here on this planet, I'm a bodybuilder. I go to the gym every day. I've got this ripped body. I'm in great shape, but emotionally, I'm a wreck. My life's falling apart. I'm completely lost. I'm living in existential terror, right, every day. So there's a balance between these things, right? So you should always equally emphasize mind, body training, and spiritual development is all. That's kind of my philosophy. But these things also carry over because, the more disciplined you become, say, doing meditation practice, the more disciplined you'll become when you're at the gym trying to hit some heavy reps, whatever, right? So these things all kind of interrelate, we could say. PV1K says, how to cultivate yang energy. I think as a man, the most important thing is retaining your semen, building up your sexual energy. That's the easiest way to just really increase your yang energy. Becoming more of an action taker, more of a creator, less like relying on other people. Well, let this person make this decision for me. More like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this for myself. So you just, it's something you have to do for yourself, right? So building your sexual energy, I think Qigong, really building your energy is something that helps as well. But overall, you have to, take action. You have to become a creator, become a leader in this world. Can you act in my Hollywood short film? You match my short film character perfectly. Depends. If you're serious, we'll see. Sebastian says, would you recommend taking creatine to increase energy at the gym workouts? I take creatine every now. I kind of cycle on and off taking creatine, but I do take it. I haven't noticed any like negative effects from it. Some people say it's hard on the kidneys, but my kidneys are pretty sensitive, so I haven't really noticed anything harmful from creatine. I can't say I've noticed like significant, improvements to my workouts and things like that. But overall, I do take creatine. It definitely gives me a bit of what's the word? Makes me swole. A little bit of a pump, right? Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I've been, speaking of workouts, I've been on, I think I might have talked about this before, but I started a new kind of workout routine where I'm doing 20 rep squats every day that I work out. So I work out 3 days a week, go to the gym. So I start with 20 rep squats, which is basically you take the amount of weight you would normally only be able to do like 10, maybe 12 squats with, and you do like 20 reps in a row. And you have to like pause, take some, intense deep breaths. It's super intense. It's the most difficult thing I've ever done, but I've gained 10 pounds in like just over a month from doing this. It's insane. So I'm all about the squats now. It used to be my weakness. I used to hate leg day, but like now I'm loving the squats. Okay, Soul Immortal. I know there's conflicting, information. People say different things. I'm speaking from my personal experience and experience of many my students who went through my course. They've noticed the same thing after about 2 to 3 months of retention. Their energy levels dropped. If this doesn't happen for you, that's great. Then keep going. But for me, it does, and so that's why everybody's different. Every Um, basically, there's no single path that works best for everyone. Um, it'd be nice if it was, but the thing is like our bodies, everything's unique, right? And again, I'm saying this is personally what I've experienced, noticed in my life, and I've been doing this for 7 years, and it's been so apparent certain patterns I see that that's why I'm saying this. Okay, can you explain Wim Hof breathing technique and how it helps to do sexual transmutation? I'm not a teacher of Wim Hof breathing. I've done some of the Wim Hof stuff. It's great, but it's not going to transmute your sexual energy for you. You need specific practices working with sexual energy, which is what sexual kung fu is. If Wim Hof did all this for me, I would teach Wim Hof method, but it's different. It's a little different. It's a little less energetically, what's the word I'm looking for? Less of a hands-on energy practice than some of the more internal practices, right? It's solid. It's a great it's a great tool. Okay, Flow with Leia says, which account would you recommend for women to follow? It's obviously very different for women, so I'm asking for this reason. My partner Mariah actually teaches women's practices. Forgot her account off the top of my head. I think it's Hey Mariah Ann. I could be wrong though. I think I've tagged her in some of my posts. Anyways, but there's some other women teaching practices as well. Minka DeVos, she's one of my teachers actually. She's not super active on social media, but she's got some good stuff. There's a girl, what's her name? Ashae, Ashae. I can't remember her last name. Sorry, I'm super. Hopefully this is at all helpful, but check out some of these accounts, and those are some women that I vibe with. Kira Love says, creatine makes your pee-pee small. It hasn't affected my pee-pee personally. If it did, I definitely wouldn't be taking it. Okay, Imagine Wolf says, how can I get the Immortal Energy Arts course? Go to immortalenergyarts.com. That's how. Oh, dropping my phone all over the place today. All right, guys, it's probably gonna be the last question. What's your thoughts on protecting against negative energy from other people who send negativity towards you? So as I talked before, energetic hygiene, managing your energy field, managing your energetic boundaries. This is important. This is why I practice, one of the reasons I practice Qigong every day is because it helps you to, do this energetic clearing, keep yourself in balance and harmony. So doing Qigong every day is fantastic, but also being able to kind of manage your energy field, knowing when someone's sending some weird stuff at you. So developing your energetic boundaries, which really comes down to training in internal energy. Crystals are another amazing tool. Crystal, got a nice Lemurian seed quartz here. You can use crystals to kind of shield, to kind of set up this energetic matrix so that any negative energy gets directed to the crystal. So what I do is, one of my Reiki teacher taught me this. You hold the crystal and just kind of see it in front of you. It's like expanding out, and see yourself like walking inside of the crystal. So you see yourself inside the crystal, and just intend that any energy directed at you absorbs into the crystal. You just hold on to it all day, and clear it in the water every few days or whatever. So that's a powerful tool you can use as well. But I have a practice on my YouTube channel, how to clear your energy field. So use that practice to keep yourself energetically clear. And again, this is a super important thing because again, being alive on this planet right now, there's a lot of people feeling a lot of, emotions. It's a lot of people living in fear, living in anxiety, and these things are just flying around the planet. And if you have no energetic protection, no energetic boundaries, you're going to absorb all this stuff. So you're like, man, why am I feeling so weird all the time, right? So this is where having internal energy practice and this energetic hygiene, we could say, is extremely important. Where can you buy the crystal? Go to any crystal store or look online. Okay, I'm gonna answer one more question because this is something that's been coming up a lot. Okay, Derek says, my girlfriend is very orgasmic and I feel like she sometimes feels offended that I don't ejaculate every time we have sex. Any advice on how to better explain this lifestyle to her? So semen retention, the sexual kung fu path, if presented in the wrong context to your partner, is something that can become disruptive to the relationship. I've actually had some women reaching out to me because their boyfriends were getting into this work, but starting to become very obsessive about it. Like one girl messaged me and said that her boyfriend literally like threw her off of him to be like, no, I'm about to ejaculate. So he like threw her off of him. I was like, that's not okay. So basically, I mean, I guess that's kind of a different thing you're asking, but being able to integrate this harmoniously into your relationship, communication is very important, boundaries, everything. So if your girlfriend wants you to ejaculate, you don't want to ejaculate, then it's important to explain to her why, and don't just make it about you. If you're like, well, when I ejaculate, you take all of my energy and I feel, that's not going to be very good, feeling directed towards her. So say more like, when I don't ejaculate, I'm still having, incredible sexual pleasure. In fact, more pleasure when I don't ejaculate than when I do. I'm still experiencing orgasms, and I have so much more energy to put into relationships, so much more love to give to you. I don't feel like falling asleep afterwards. I feel like, talking with you, being close with you and things like that. Make them see that how it can support the relationship as a whole. And you can also kind of reach a compromise, like maybe every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, once a month, whatever, you ejaculate during sex. And it's kind of a nice, like, special occasion, right? So it kind of like finding that compromise and communicating. And with that, guys, I'm going to jump off. Thanks everyone for joining. Always good to hang out with you guys. Hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next Thursday, same time. Take it easy, guys.